Investigators say Murray Cohen died because of a weak heart, and there was nothing suspicious about the death of the Sarasota man.
His son, however, says something else. He suspects something sinister here, and he believes the 911 call proves that he's right. And now Fox 13 has uncovered some startling information that calls into question the detective's own investigation. And our Fox 13 investigative reporter, Doug Smith, is here to tell you all about it. Doug?
John and Kelly, the core of the case is this 911 tape. Does it capture a dying man's final words? And did detectives really look close enough at all of the evidence? Maria Cohen placed this frantic 911 call after she says her husband Murray suffered a heart attack inside the home they shared on Siesta Key. The two had been married less than a month. Now their life together was over.
Okay, is he completely awake now or no?
No, he's totally gone.
But for Steve Esdale, Murray Cohen's son, a search for answers was just beginning.
I haven't slept a night since my father died. He's on my mind all the time.
Maria Cohen told detectives that her husband took an afternoon nap and never woke up, dying peacefully in his sleep. But Steve Esdale could find no peace. He had never met his father's new wife, Maria, a woman in her 40s, much younger than his 71-year-old father. Authorities concluded it was a natural death, so there was no autopsy. A short time later, Esdale called for a copy of Maria's 911 call. What he claims he can hear faintly in the background changed everything. His father crying out, fighting to stay alive. The words Esdale says he can hear are, "I should beat you up," as the 911 operator gave Maria instructions. But is that what's really on this tape? Esdale is convinced he hears that and more, and believes a few seconds later Maria says, "Give up."
Ma'am.
After repeatedly listening, Esdale was convinced his father did not die peacefully in his sleep.
I'm in this because I love my dad. Someone murdered my father, and I am compelled to get justice for my father.
Steve Esdale turned to a company here in New York to analyze the 911 tape from Sarasota County. When you finished analyzing this tape, what was your reaction?
Horror, to be honest with you, because it became very clear that he was very much alive, and she was telling the 911 operator that he was out cold, that he was dead.
Susan Gady is the president of GadyCom, specializing in forensic audio. GadyCom used this home video to establish Murray Cohen's voice, then digitally enhanced the 911 call, and using special listening techniques heard much more.
He was alive and he was talking. He was aware of what was happening to him. He kept saying over and over again, "I thought you were going to get me an ambulance. I need help. I'm sick. I'm having a heart attack."
Is it possible, since Steve Esdale paid you to enhance this 911 call, that you're hearing what he wants you to hear?
No, because Steve Esdale has only paid for a fraction of what we've done.
Susan Gady says Esdale has paid her $450. So why does she continue?
Why? Because I believe that justice has to be served.
The detective's report suggests that any unusual sounds on the tape might be crosstalk from within the 911 communication center. If the FBI listened to this 911 call, would they hear what you hear?
I believe they would.
The Sarasota Sheriff's Office sent the 911 call to the FBI here in Quantico, Virginia, asking for analysis. Susan Gady says a Sarasota detective called her with the results.
He told me that the FBI heard what we heard, and I quote, "and then some."
But that's not what the detective wrote in his final report, which says the FBI was unable to identify a third party on the 911 tape. Why the glaring discrepancy? We asked to see the FBI report, but the Sarasota Sheriff's Office repeatedly told us there is no report. It was all done over the phone. But when Fox 13 contacted the FBI, a special agent told us there is always a written report when the FBI is analyzing an audio recording. 2 weeks after we first started asking, the Sheriff's Office now says there is a report, and they want to review it before sharing it with us.
Is he conscious?
No! No.
We found another inconsistency in the final report, the time of the 911 call. The call center says it came in 2 minutes before 6 p.m. or 17:58. The medical examiner's report has the same time, but the detective wrote the 911 call came in 21 minutes earlier at 5:37.
The timing is important because Murray Cohen's stockbroker called him twice down in Sarasota that afternoon. Maria Cohen says they took a nap and Murray died peacefully in his sleep. The broker, Steve Beninati, says when he called, he heard a man hysterically screaming in the background.
Phone records indicate Beninati placed the calls from his office on the 39th floor of this Manhattan skyscraper. In this letter sent to detectives, the broker says a woman with a Spanish Latino accent answered the phone both times, and both times he heard a male voice screaming in the background. Beninati's first call was at 5:34 and the second at 5:45. Maria Cohen told detectives her husband laid down for a nap at 4:30 and never woke up. But the detective's report never mentions that Beninati heard a man screaming. The broker's employer wouldn't let him talk on camera, but we found someone else who could. The Cohen's next-door neighbor, Tracy Weeks. Weeks says she saw Murray Cohen near his mailbox 45 minutes after his wife told detectives he took a nap.
You're certain that you saw him at 5:15 here at the mailbox?
Yes.
But that's not what the detective wrote. He wrote Tracy Weeks saw Murray Cohen sometime between 4:45 and 5.
Is it possible that it was 4:45 or 5 o'clock?
No. No, I wouldn't have been in a hurry I would have been relaxing. I wouldn't have been in such a hurry to get to class.
Weeks says the detective told her to expand the timetable.
And he said to be sure, just to give myself that much room.
So we wanted to talk with somebody on camera down here at the Sarasota Sheriff's Office about the closed investigation. But our repeated requests for an interview were turned down over a 3-week period. So we wrote the sheriff a letter outlining the inconsistencies that we'd uncovered and the missing FBI report. But again, we got nowhere.
Steve Esdale has repeatedly contacted detectives with what he's found, even gone as far as protesting out front. Esdale is also engaged in a legal battle with Maria Cohen over the estate, a probate court fight that includes strong allegations made under oath.
I heard Steve talking very nicely to his father, demanding monies.
She murdered my father, and the police report from the sheriff's department is a total cover-up.
Steve Esdale has petitioned the court to have his father's body exhumed. He believes only an autopsy will reveal the truth. And now he's not alone. The medical examiner who signed his father's death certificate now says in light of new information, the body should be exhumed because an autopsy would prove invaluable in revealing the cause of death. Maria Cohen and her lawyer declined an on-camera interview. Her lawyer called the idea of exhuming the body offensive and says Maria Cohen had nothing to do with her husband's death. At a cemetery in Woodbridge, New Jersey, Murray Cohen's grave has no headstone. The money in the estate is frozen, and Esdale says he spent every penny to his name.
Believe me, I want a headstone there in the worst way. It's just torture, one, to know that my father was taken away unnaturally, and then on top of that, you have to fight the police. It's sheer torture.
Steve Esdale says he'll never give up, but the sheriff's office says this case is closed. They accuse him of trying to intimidate detectives into changing their conclusions. In fact, Esdale just got a letter saying he must stop calling and sending faxes, or the sheriff's office will take legal action against him. Still plenty of unanswered questions.
Yes, there are.
The FBI have an interest in this from this point on?
We have contacted the FBI, but they need the approval from the Sarasota Sheriff's Office before they can release any documentation. As soon as they get the go-ahead, they can. That's what we're waiting for. We'll keep pushing.
Okay.